Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and I hope you're doing well. So in today's video I wanted to share a few tips on how to navigate yourself during like last minute revision when you have an exam coming up and you probably feel like you haven't prepped. And yeah, I really hope this helps because I've been there and I'm pretty sure most people have, where you've got an exam coming up last minute and you haven't really revised and you kind of don't know what to do. So yeah, I really hope it helps and let's get started. So my first tip, and ignore the fact that this is really messy because I actually use this to revise and I didn't obviously have a spare copy, but my first tip is use the spec to work out kind of the priorities of what you don't know, what you know and what you feel like you're not too sure about. Because if the exam is in a week, let's say, or like in a few days, you need to make sure you prioritize the stuff that you don't know. And the way you could do that is you could highlight some of the things that you feel like you like have to go over, using like economics as an example because this is what I have, whether that's like the impact of government intervention or kind of like the restrictions on something. Like, just work out what you need to do. And what you can do, which is leading to the second point, when you do that you can then quickly use your textbook or CGP book. I recommend that if you I think any A-level like CGP books saved my grades for all my subjects, especially last minute, because it's like a one-pager and it includes everything you need to know. But using that and your textbook, highlight or go like draw around it some of the key themes, so like 3 or 4 points maximum, and key phrases. So for example, if it's a formula, you can write the formula. If you need context or a stat, you can literally write that, and that's what I've done here. That way, on the day before the exam, or if you do revise on the day, which I don't ever do because that stressed me out, you can literally quickly just remember those 3 or 4 key things and you know you've covered it, and that way it'll be like reassuring as well, and you can go into the exam feeling really confident, which I think makes a big difference. That is one of the key things, because you don't want to go over stuff. As much as you might enjoy it, like the stuff that you know, like don't kind of go over the same thing over and over. Like go over the small things as well. Like sometimes there'll be like really small spec points and they could ask you like a 20 mark on that. If you have a subject where you've got formulas and you don't have enough time, make sure that you literally write out the formulas, whether that's like a fraction, a percentage change, just making sure you go through them. And like even simple ones, just making sure that you know that. And yeah, just making sure you can tick them off. And like for example here, I knew them, so I just didn't bother going over that. Whereas this, I literally had to write out the formula, the definition, and that way I knew I was going through all of it. Another tip is using post-it notes, and I did this the day before the exam, linking to the spec, where I went through the content one by one. So for example, efficiency, like knowing the 3 different ones, and on a post-it note I would write out the definition for each one, or whatever you need. So if you don't need a definition, it could be a formula, writing it out. And that way, when you write it out, one, you're restricted to the amount you can write on there, which is so important, so that you don't ramble or that you don't include too much. Because sometimes if you write a lot, you feel like you need to remember it all, but it'll all be in your head. So just write it out really simply of what the definition is or what the key thing is. And especially with some subjects where you might need stats, like for example, I needed to know like market shares for like Lidl and Aldi. Don't know why, but anyway, I did. I just wrote out that stat and put it onto the wall like that, and I then reassured myself that I knew some of the stats. And yeah, definitely do that. And you can color code them. I didn't have the time to do that, and I'm not that organized, or I don't really like pretty stuff anyway. But yeah, just keeping it really simple. And you won't need to do this for everything. That is what the key thing is, especially with last minute revision. The stuff that you don't know, focus on that, and you can go back to it. So even in the morning of the exam, you can literally wake up and read that post-it note or take it with you to remember. And you can also do the same thing as a flashcard, because it obviously depends on what you prefer and what you don't, but I use flashcards for like 4 or 5 things maximum, because the day before the exam or like the week when I didn't have much time, the stuff that I found really hard to understand, I would only put it on a flashcard, because when you have way too many and you won't end up going through them again, so it will just be a waste. Like, you're creating revision resources, one, to revise from, and when you do it, you'll be revising at the same time, but two, you want to keep it easy for when you do the exam. So it's really messy by the way. I literally wrote out the formulas in big writing, and then that way, if I needed to quickly go over it, I could see what it is, like the percentage change in supply over the change in price. And then I would do the same thing for a graph. So if there was a particular graph that I was struggling with, I could literally just look at that and understand it. Just little things like highlighting things, just making sure that you cover the hard stuff before the exam. My last tip is my favorite tip ever, and I recommend it to every single person, whether you're studying, working. Like, get a whiteboard. Like, you literally won't be able to see me, but using a whiteboard will help you so much. Like, I can't reiterate how important it is, because within that week of the exam, with last minute stuff, you won't have time to write detailed notes. Like, that is what you have to remember with a week, and there's going to be so much content. Like, whether you're a GCSE student or an A-Level student, what you need to do, you need to test yourself, and you might not have time to do exam papers, like writing them out fully. So using a whiteboard, you can quickly test yourself of, can you quickly draw this graph? Can you explain it? Like, with 3 bullet points, can you write evaluation? Can you remember the formula? Yeah, just like testing yourself is so important, and like you can do that with the post-it notes. So can you quickly test yourself and write out what like a definition is? And the good thing is, on a whiteboard, if you make a mistake, you can literally rub it out, rewrite it as many times as you want, and you want to make sure you do it over and over again until you remember it. And this will be able to help you. And using the spec as well, like with the 3-4 bullet points, you can go over the ones that you're struggling with. So you can write out like the heading in the middle, and then go over each and every difficult spec point. And then when you go into the exam, you already know that you've gone through the difficult spec points, you've written it out, and you've tested yourself using a whiteboard, post-it note, flashcard, whatever works for you. And then you'll be able to answer it. I hope this has helped. I know, like, last minute revision can be really stressful. It definitely was for me, and I know all my friends found that hard. So hopefully these tips and tricks have helped. And yeah, let me know if you want anything else, and I shall speak to you soon. Bye.